What about the droid?
What about him?
I'll pay for him.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most surprising appearances from big-time celebrities in movies that you probably didn't catch on your first watch.
What's the situation?
You know the situation. We've been over this.
Number 30, Ron Jeremy, Ghostbusters. Ron Jeremy is one of the most prolific actors in the entertainment industry, having starred in over 2,000 films. The overwhelming majority of these just happen to be within the adult genre.
Who ordered the large sausage?
We did, but we don't have any money. How can we pay him?
However, Jeremy has occasionally dipped his toe in more mainstream family-friendly productions. He briefly appeared in the 1984 classic Ghostbusters, among a crowd observing the containment unit explosion at Ghostbusters HQ.
This is the sign!
Yeah, it's a sign, all right. Going out of business.
It may be easy to miss him because he's not as easily recognizable in the cameo, but that distinctive mustache of his remains unmistakable. Thankfully, unlike his more renowned roles, Jeremy remained fully clothed throughout this fleeting moment on screen. Number 29, Richard Branson, Casino Royale. Daniel Craig made his first appearance as James Bond in the 2006 film Casino Royale.
I knew it was too early to promote you.
Well, I understand double O's have a very short life expectancy, so your mistake will be short-lived.
But it seems he wasn't the only newcomer to the Bond franchise in this movie. There was also billionaire Richard Branson. Branson appears in a scene at the Miami airport where he is hastily frisked by security after triggering the sensors. A die-hard fan of the franchise, the eccentric businessman essentially paid for his cameo by offering a free plane to the production team at the last minute, helping them save a lot of funds. While money might not guarantee happiness, it can certainly land you a role in your favorite movie. Number 28, Jeff Bezos, Star Trek Beyond. Speaking of billionaires who make their way into their favorite film franchises, Jeff Bezos fulfilled a lifelong dream by securing a cameo in 2016's Star Trek Beyond.
For years, I have been begging Paramount, which is owned by Viacom, to let me be in a Star Trek movie.
A fan of the franchise since childhood, the Amazon founder became close friends with its star William Shatner and named his family corporation after one of the characters. However, if you're expecting to see Bezos in his usual appearance, you'd be disappointed. In the film, he appears as an alien Starfleet official, completely transformed by prosthetic makeup.
Speak normally.
Despite appearing for just about 8 seconds, Bezos ensured he had a speaking role in a pivotal scene to avoid ending up on the cutting room floor. Number 27, Kenneth Brana, Avengers Infinity War. The MCU's Avengers Infinity War boasted a heavily stacked cast, featuring nearly all of Marvel's superheroes. Amidst such a crowded lineup, it's easy to miss some of the more obscure appearances. Early in the film, a distress signal is heard from an Asgardian ship after Thanos attacks Thor and Loki.
This is the Asgardian refugee vessel. We are under assault. I repeat, we are under assault. Engines are dead. Life support failing. Requesting aid from any vessel within range.
This urgent plea sets the stage for the chaos Thanos is about to unleash. If the voice delivering the signal sounds familiar, that's because it's none other than Kenneth Branagh, who many may remember also directed the first Thor film.
Our crew is made up of Asgardian families. We have very few soldiers here. This is not a warcraft. I repeat, this is not a warcraft.
Only the most attentive fans could have picked this up on the first watch, so if you did, consider yourself eagle-eyed, or in this case, eared. Number 26, Edward Norton, Kingdom of Heaven. Don't fault yourself if you struggled to identify who portrayed the Leper King in Ridley Scott's 2005 epic Kingdom of Heaven.
The Saracens say that this disease is God's vengeance against the vanity of our kingdom.
Surprisingly, Edward Norton, who brought the character to life, deliberately opted not to be credited for the role. Norton made this decision in a bid to enhance the mystery surrounding the already mysterious character. Throughout his brief appearance in the film, Norton wore a mask and put on a very different accent, essentially rendering himself unrecognizable.
We must meet him before he reaches Karak. I will lead the army.
My lord, if you travel, you'll die.
Send word to Balian to protect the villagers.
While the film received generally mixed reviews, Norton's short performance received acclaim for being, quote, phenomenal. Number 25, Trevor Noah, Black Panther. Black Panther featured an historic lineup of actors, including names like the late Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, and Lupita Nyong'o.
This is your last chance. Throw down your weapons, and we can handle this another way.
But one name also appeared in the credits which may have slipped under many fans' radars, that of South African comedian Trevor Noah. Noah, who was the host of The Daily Show at the time, took a short break from the desk to lend his voice to Griot, a Siri-type Wakandan AI system.
Remote piloting system activated.
In the film, Griot helps Martin Freeman's character navigate a virtual plane during an intense battle scene. What makes this cameo particularly special is the fact that the Wakandan language spoken in the film is based on Xhosa, Noah's mother tongue. Number 24, Jonas Brothers, Night at the Museum, Battle of the Smithsonian. In this scene from the 2009 Night at the Museum sequel, Larry and Amelia find themselves hiding from Napoleon's soldiers, who are on a mission to retrieve the tablet of Akhmen-Ra.
Well, Mr. Daly, I quite like the way you're holding me.
No, sorry, I wasn't trying to...
Oh, please stop beating your gums, Mr. Daly. You haven't been able to take your cheaters off my chassis since the moment we met.
I literally didn't understand one word of that.
Their location is nearly compromised when they encounter 3 Cupid statues who surprise them with a serenade. It might not appear like it at first, but the 3 statues are actually voiced and modeled after the Jonas Brothers. It's a rather obscure cameo in a movie brimming with a lot of more prominent ones. If you still have any doubts, look no further than their rendition of Love Bug, an actual song by the real-life pop trio. Number 23, David Beckham, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Former football star David Beckham and director Guy Ritchie have maintained a strong friendship over the years. Beckham even featured in a couple of commercials Ritchie directed in the early 2010s. Their collaboration extended into 2015, when Beckham had a minor role in Ritchie's action spy film The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
Это не твой типичный американский шпион. Он вступил в американскую армию в возрасте 18 лет и был выслан в Европу. После поражения Гитлера он остался на территории оккупации.
But it might be challenging spotting Beckham in the scene. Not only is the lighting quite dim, but Beckham also sports a pair of glasses and a slicked-back haircut that makes him a lot less conspicuous. We probably would have eventually seen Beckham in a more substantial role, but the film's underwhelming box office performance likely put a hold on any sequels.
Скандальная история привлекла внимание ЦРУ. Они признали, что...
Number 22, Bradley Cooper, 10 Cloverfield Lane. This sci-fi horror flick features a notably small cast, with only 4 core actors appearing physically throughout its runtime.
I see you two are getting along.
There is, however, a 5th actor credited in the film, whose presence is only felt through his voice. In one of the early scenes, when Michelle answers a call from her fiancé Ben, keen viewers may have recognized the voice of Bradley Cooper on the other end.
Michelle, please don't hang up. Just talk to me, okay? I can't believe you just... Michelle, come back. Please say something.
Cooper's involvement came after a fruitless search for a voice actor, which prompted the film's producer J.J. Abrams to reach out to him and offer the role. His performance easily meets the brief, effectively setting a tense and eerie tone right from the start. Number 21, Wes Craven, Scream. Wes Craven, the renowned master of horror, breathed new life into the slasher genre with the 1996 film Scream, launching a sprawling multimedia franchise in the process.
You never told me your name.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
What did you say?
I want to know who I'm talking to.
That's not what you said.
Craven not only directed the first 4 films in the series, he also made cameo appearances in all of them. Particularly noteworthy was his turn as Fred the janitor in the first movie, where he cleverly disguises himself in a long wig and mustache.
You call me? Huh?
Not your friend.
He also dons attire bearing a striking resemblance to that of his own iconic creation, Freddy Krueger, injecting an additional layer of meta humor to the already brilliant satire. Number 20. Michael Caine, Dunkirk. You can't have a Christopher Nolan movie without Michael Caine, but the English actor flew under the radar in Dunkirk.
Check fuel, Portis 1 and 2.
While Kane does not appear on screen, Tom Hardy and Jack Lowden do receive a radio message at one point from a familiar voice.
And keep an eye on that gauge, even when it gets lively. Safe enough to get back.
It's not easy to hear over the noisy planes, but if you listen closely, you can totally make out Kane's signature Cockney accent. Kane's cameo as the Fortis leader was an homage to his role in Battle of Britain, a 1969 World War II drama in which he played Squadron Leader Canfield. Almost 5 decades later, Kane is still fighting the same war.
The engine's overheating and so am I. We either stand down or blow up. Which do you want?
Number 19. Bill Murray, Dumb and Dumber 2.
I like what you've done with the place. Nice cappuccino machine.
In this long-awaited sequel, the Farrelly brothers not only reunited with stars Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels, but Bill Murray as well.
Who's the astronaut? Oh, that's my roommate.
If you missed Murray, that's because he was hidden under a hazmat suit. Returning home for the first time in 20 years, Lloyd learns that Harry has been sharing the apartment with a mysterious man named Ice Pick.
How's it going, Ice Pick?
Best day ever. Greatest day of my life, really.
Calling Walter White to mind, Murray's character makes a living by cooking rock candy that people and cats go crazy for.
Folks come from all over the city to buy it.
The movie might be called Dumb and Dumber 2, but this is actually a pretty clever Easter egg that only the most attentive moviegoers caught.
Burning my eyes. Must be Cajun style.
Number 18. Steven Spielberg, The Blues Brothers. The climax of this comedy classic throws in everything but the kitchen sink. With the police, firefighters, and even the military pursuing the Blues Brothers, it's easy to miss arguably the most iconic director alive.
Can I help you?
As the world outside his office erupts in chaos, a Cook County assessor played by Steven Spielberg obliviously eats his sandwich. Lunch is interrupted by Jake and Elwood, who pay their taxes just before the authorities cuff them.
$5,000, it's all there, pal.
Spielberg signs the receipts with the name R.J. Daley, a subtle nod to Chicago Mayor Richard J. Daley.
Here is your receipt.
1 year before Blues Brothers, Spielberg notably directed John Belushi in the war comedy 1941.
I'd like to eat sauerkraut for the rest of your life.
By the way, don't be surprised if Dan Akroyd pops up in a Spielberg picture later on. Number 17. Jim Carrey, Liar Liar. We know what you're thinking. Jim Carrey was the lead in Liar Liar. How could he have a cameo in his own star vehicle?
Here she comes to wreck the day!
Well, remember the scene where Fletcher Reed gets injured at the airport? Look closely as his family shoves their way through a crowd of people. In the background, you might recognize a grinning fireman hidden behind a pair of shades.
Yeah, he's my husband. Was my husband.
It is none other than Carrey, standing just a few feet away from Fletcher. This is apparently supposed to be Fire Marshal Bill, a recurring character Carrey portrayed on In Living Color.
Nice to meet you, folks. Fire Marshal Bill here. Won't you come in?
Hey, if Ace Ventura and Stanley Ipkiss can exist in the same universe, why not Fletcher and Bill? Number 16. Garrett Morris, Ant-Man. When Scott Lang takes his Ant-Man suit for a test drive, he lands on the roof of a car parked outside. The driver is played by comedian Garrett Morris, who was a cast member on Saturday Night Live from 1975 to 1980.
What the hell?
At first, this may seem like a random cameo, but hardcore SNL fans will notice its significance. In a sketch entitled Superhero Party, Morris appeared as Ant-Man, along with host Margot Kidder as Lois Lane, Bill Murray as Superman, and various others.
What are your superpowers again? You talk to the ants, is that it?
Well, partly, but mainly I shrink myself down to the size of an ant while retaining my full human strength.
While a parody, this was technically the first live-action portrayal of Ant-Man. Ant-Man is heckled by the Flash and Hulk, who don't think his powers are anything particularly special. Ant-Man and his costume have certainly come a long way since then.
Oh, best stay out of this guy's way. Oh, every molecule's quivering now.
Number 15. Nathan Fillion, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Check out the new meat.
Nathan Fillion is a regular in director James Gunn's movies. He's also best known for playing Malcolm Reynolds, one of the most beloved starship captains of all time. Naturally, Fillion had to pop up somewhere in Guardians of the Galaxy. Even the most die-hard sci-fi fans missed his cameo, though.
I'm gonna slather you up in Navi and jelly. Go to town.
Upon arriving at the kiln, our heroes come face-to-face with numerous monstrous inmates. Fillion voices a blue thug that gives Peter Quill an especially hard time. Luckily, Groot has Peter's back and the thug's nose. Number 14. Kristen Wig. Her.
The following are adult female, can't sleep, and want to have some fun.
This film follows the romance between a man named Theodore and an OS named Samantha. Before Theodore falls for the disembodied voice of his dreams, he tries to make a connection with a fellow lonely soul. An unseen Kristen Wig voices Sexy Kitten, a woman that can't sleep and wants to have some fun.
Hi, I'm here alone and I can't sleep. Who's out there to share this bed with me?
Initially, she seems like an ideal candidate for a phone sex hookup. When she starts talking about dead cats, however, Theodore suddenly loses his sex drive. Many people didn't recognize Wig's voice, although they probably should have in retrospect. After all, she's one of the few comedians that could pull off this role with just the right balance of quirkiness and kinkiness.
I'm pulling it. The cat's dead. It's a dead cat around your neck, and I'm pulling it.
Number 13. Cameron Crowe. Minority Report. Not even the precogs could have foreseen this cameo. Wanted for a crime that hasn't happened yet, Chief John Anderton's name and face are soon plastered over every newspaper. Anderton is spotted by a passenger sitting across from him on a train. Even if you don't recognize the passenger, you might have seen some of his movies, which include Almost Famous, Jerry Maguire, and Say Anything. Cameron Crowe isn't the only famous face on this train, as Cameron Diaz can also be seen sitting behind him. What's the common thread here? 1 year earlier, director Steven Spielberg made an uncredited cameo as a party guest in Crowe's Vanilla Sky, which starred Diaz and Tom Cruise. Could it be that this whole movie is just a simulated reality?
Happy birthday, David.
Happy birthday!
Number 12. Paul Reubens. Batman Returns. Previously working with Tim Burton on Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Reubens' appearance in Batman Returns saw him play a completely different kind of character. Perhaps that's why he slipped by unnoticed. The usually eccentric Reubens stars as Tucker Cobblepot, a restrained, distant man who views his newly born son as an abomination. Along with his equally heartless wife, played by fellow Pee-wee alumnus Diane Salinger, Reubens' character dumps young Oswald into the sewers, where a family of penguins awaits. Although nobody caught the cameo at first, this has since become one of Reubens' most memorable roles. Perhaps because of this, Reubens would go on to play Penguin's father again in the TV series Gotham.
Side with us. Whispering tales of murder. Dark plots are in motion.
Number 11. Bruce Campbell, Fargo.
What?
Well, it's something kind of small, but it might be a big problem.
Written, directed, and produced by the Coen brothers, this Oscar-winning black comedy follows a man who concocts a plan to kidnap his wife for ransom, the criminals he hires, and the pregnant police chief on their trail. Fargo may feature Frances McDormand, William H. Macy, and Steve Buscemi. But did you also know that Ash Williams himself can be spotted on screen? Literally? That's right. When Buscemi and Peter Stormado's small-time crooks have Jean Lundegaard tied up and blindfolded, Gare watches The Tube to pass the time. The show that captures his attention before the arrival of his partner Carl happens to be a soap opera with Campbell acting in a dramatic scene that leaves Gare momentarily speechless.
I'm pregnant.
Huh?
I'm pregnant.
Number 10. Brad Pitt, Deadpool 2. The Vanisher remains invisible until his days with X-Force come to an abrupt end. In a blink-and-you'll-miss-it moment, Brad Pitt makes a shocking and hilariously brief cameo as Vanisher flies into a telephone pole.
Vanisher! Maybe the wind can't blow what it can't see.
It's a brilliant waste of a great actor, and the cameo is only made funnier when you consider that Pitt was originally in talks to play Cable before scheduling interfered. So, instead of playing Cable, he got electrocuted by some cables.
Really?
Pitt's not the only Ocean's 11 actor present. An unrecognizable Matt Damon also appears as a beer-bellied redneck named Dickie Greenleaf, who has clearly gone through some changes since the talented Mr. Ripley.
Toilet paper is plenty for an appetizer, but then Huggies Natural Care Wet Wipes. That's your main course.
And the other guy talking to Damon about toilet paper? That's Alan Tudyk.
What year is it?
What kind of dumbass question is that to ask?
Number 9. Jimmy Buffett, Jurassic World. Jurassic World is wall-to-wall with product placement, but let's be honest. If a Jurassic theme park were real, it would probably have more corporate sponsors than dinosaurs. Among the many brand names in the film is Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville.
Due to a containment anomaly, all guests must take shelter immediately.
When the pterosaurs break free from their aviary, the Margaritaville patrons are forced to flee for their lives. In the midst of all this anarchy, one man grabs 2 large margarita glasses before taking off. This margarita enthusiast is Jimmy Buffett himself. Producer Frank Marshall has snuck Buffett into a few of his films over the years, including Hook.
I fancied him showing his shoes for my booty.
Well, I think you can get them at Armani.
This is easily Buffett's most meta cameo, however. While we never learn the fate of Buffett's character, the Margaritaville was the climax's greatest casualty. Number 8. Lucy Lawless, Spider-Man. We all know that Bruce Campbell appeared throughout the original Spider-Man trilogy, but he's not the only actor with close ties to director Sam Raimi.
What's your name, kid?
The human spider.
The human spider, that's it? That's the best you got?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
As Spider-Man rises up as the hero New York needs, several residents share their thoughts on the web-slinger.
This is not a man. My brother saw him building a nest in the Lincoln Center fountain.
A punk rock woman is turned on by the idea of a guy with 8 hands.
Guy with 8 hands. Sounds hot.
Given that she's best known for playing the titular character in Xena Warrior Princess, it likely didn't occur to you that this New Yorker is Lucy Lawless. Raimi actually helped develop the Xena TV series, which was co-created by Lawless's husband, Robert Tappert.
Why wasn't I told?
Of course, we're still waiting for an official crossover between Spidey and Xena. That's gotta exist somewhere in the Spider-Verse, right? Number 7. Dan Akroyd, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Ah, Dr. Jones, I'm Weber.
Trying to escape from Shanghai, Indy and his friends get some help from a British military officer named Art Weber. Dan Akroyd plays Weber, although it likely took audiences multiple viewings to realize this.
But there might be a slight inconvenience as you will be riding on a cargo full of live poultry.
Is he kidding?
It's easy to overlook Akroyd's presence since the camera never zooms in on his face. Plus, he puts on a thick English accent and delivers his lines at a rapid pace.
Heavens, aren't you Willie Scott, the famous American female vocalist?
And Akroyd isn't the only big name that makes an appearance in this scene. Director Steven Spielberg, co-writer George Lucas, associate producer Kathleen Kennedy, and executive producer Frank Marshall can all be spotted at the airport. Talk about cameo overload.
Oh yeah, Jen!
Number 6. George Harrison, Monty Python's Life of Brian. You may be surprised by the sheer number of times George Harrison has crossed paths with the Monty Python crew. Eric Idle directed a music video for Cracker Box Palace, and Harrison was a producer for the Lumberjack song.
He's a lumberjack, he's all day, sings all night and he works all day.
The former Beatle even helped get Monty Python's Life of Brian off the ground, forming handmade films to finance the picture.
Let's go to Stoning.
You can go to a stoning anytime.
Oh, come on, Brian!
Since this comedy classic probably wouldn't exist without Harrison, the least the filmmakers could do was give him a cameo. As Brian makes his way through a crowd, Harrison can be seen greeting the so-called Messiah. Harrison's character is named Mr. Papadopoulos, the Mount's owner. Although he didn't get much screen time, it's safe to say that Harrison was this production's savior. Number 5. Cate Blanchett, Hot Fuzz.
Hello?
Janine, it's me.
I know, I'm at work.
Cate Blanchett took a break from Oscar-winning dramas to make an appearance in this laugh-a-minute comedy. Not that you'd notice. Playing Janine, Nick Angel's ex-girlfriend, she is concealed under a mask and coveralls, which not only hides Blanchett, but also means her character blends in with everyone else at the crime scene. Angel can't even differentiate who's who, as he attempts to bid his former lover farewell.
Nicholas, what do you want?
Well, I have something important to tell you, and I didn't want to do it over the phone.
Since Blanchett is arguably the most accomplished performer in the movie, you'd think that the filmmakers would at least show her whole face. Yet they clearly went out of their way to make sure nobody in the audience spotted her. This just makes her uncredited cameo all the more hilarious.
You just can't switch off, Nicholas. And until you find a person you care about more than your job, you never will.
Number 4. Stephen Colbert, The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug.
Erdogan is not a name from The Lord of the Rings.
I know it sounds like Erdogan could be Aragorn's dad, but obviously that's Arathorn. I don't have to explain that to you.
If you haven't noticed, Stephen Colbert is a pretty big Lord of the Rings fan.
There's an important legal distinction between Gollum and Smeagol. Smeagol is a perfectly normal hobbit until he was corrupted by the One Ring and became the creature known as Gollum.
As a matter of fact, Peter Jackson has described him as the biggest Tolkien geek he's ever met. In The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, Jackson finally gave the comedian a chance to visit Middle-earth. Since this franchise has so many characters, it isn't surprising that Colbert got lost in the shuffle. However, he can briefly be seen as a Lake Town spy. He's only on screen for a few seconds, but at least Colbert can say that he's officially part of Tolkien mythology. Colbert returned the favor by letting Smaug crash in on the Colbert Report.
We both live in gated communities, and we're both fiscal conservatives who sleep on giant piles of money.
Quite right. Time to return to the gold standard. Rand Paul 2016.
In addition to incorporating celebrity cameos into his films, Jackson made his own brief appearance in The Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring. Number 3. Glenn Close, Hook.
You bet against me bringing Pan back here, didn't you? No.
Hook has a couple of fun cameos, but this one is by far the sneakiest. Hiding an Oscar-nominated actress in plain sight is no easy task, but director Steven Spielberg pulled it off in this scene.
Say it. I did. Yes, you made a boo-boo.
I did. I did. Captain Hook isn't at all pleased with fellow pirate Gutless, played by an unrecognizable Glenn Close. As punishment for doubting him, Hook condemns Gutless to the boo box with a couple of scorpions.
The boo box.
Although Gutless is supposedly a man, it wasn't uncommon for women to disguise themselves as male pirates, so perhaps that's the basis behind this cameo. It also wouldn't be the last time Close has done drag.
You never wear a dress.
Number 2. Steve Buscemi, Pulp Fiction.
Hi, I'm Buddy. What can I get you?
John Travolta and Uma Thurman are nothing short of captivating during the Jackrabbit Slim scene in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. Since all eyes are on these two, audiences often fail to notice Steve Buscemi as their waiter. Dressed as Buddy Holly, Buscemi's character serves up a bloody as hell steak and a $5 shake with no bourbon.
How do you want that cooked? Run to a crisp or bloody as hell?
Bloody as hell, and oh yeah, look at this, vanilla Coke.
Buscemi previously played Mr. Pink in Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs, which is technically set in the same universe. So does this mean that the waiter is actually Mr. Pink hiding from the police? If so, he's doing a great job at keeping a low profile.
How do you want that shake? Martin and Lewis or Amos and Andy?
Martin and Lewis.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Daniel Craig, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
You will remove these restraints and leave this cell with the door open.
What did you say?
Daniel Craig has become iconic for his portrayal of James Bond, but that's not the only blockbuster franchise he's taken part in. Everyone was stunned to learn that Craig played a stormtrooper in Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Which stormtrooper, you ask? Remember the soldier that was put in charge of guarding Rey on Starkiller Base? The one that Rey completely mind-tricked and forced to remove her restraints, leave the cell open, and drop his weapon? Daniel Craig.
I'll tighten those restraints, scavenger scum.
What makes this cameo especially ingenious is that the stormtrooper is named JB-007, a clear homage to James Bond and his codename. Well played, Abrams. Well played.
I will remove these restraints and leave the cell with the door open.
What other sneaky celebrity movie cameos have you noticed? Let us know in the comments below.
Well, I'm not entirely sure that's the album you promised us.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.